Seems like need.
Right.
Which means we then got to
I
find
have
it.
to do this. It's been put everything.
Mind signing in, sir?
You'll sign in, Brian, real quick. Thank you. So, yeah. It'll start first thing in the spring. Hope for no failures.
You know what it is? No, I don't. I'm gonna have it looked at when. I think it's rotated. I'm sorry. It's been a few years. It's getting worse.
Everybody trying. They do physical therapy to make it better. Without surgery and stuff, if you catch it early.
Yeah, the problem is my job requires me to lift heavy objects. So it's like,
Yeah.
Paul's been good. He's been.
Oh, the Sharpies and the gaff tape?
Got emotional.
Sacrifice your
Oh,
body.
there it is.
Pretty much. I gotta get it done. I could retire, I would, but I can't. It's 6:31. Actually, I apologize for being late. I'd welcome you to our meeting. Let's stand as able and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Want to welcome you all to our meeting this evening. Thanks for coming out. There's a sign-up sheet here on the table. If you haven't signed in, I appreciate you doing that. We do have a new system of microphones that you don't necessarily need to leave your seat, but I do ask that you raise your hand and ask to be recognized if you'd like to say something. First order of business is approval of the minutes from the meeting dated November 17, 2025. I will entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
So Peter and Ariana, the motion and second. Any comments, changes, concerns?
I can find them. I did have one. On page 4, line 7, there's been a lot of things can be done with roads with a call. It's a quote from me. I think what I said was could potentially be done. If not, that was the intent of my statement. A lot of things could potentially be done on roads with a call.
Okay.
That was the only thing. Yep.
Anyone else? I had 2 comments on page 6, line 14. It says Mike Adams, should be Doug Adams. And then on line 44, where it talks about Peter wanting the pothole filled, I think what you said, Peter, was that you were thankful the pothole was filled.
The pothole is not filled.
Oh, it's not filled. Okay,
No.
my bad.
No.
Okay, well, just
No.
a reminder.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, that's all.
Would be thankful if the
Yeah.
bottom-
I must have misunderstood you. Anything else? All in favor of the approving the minutes as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Next on the agenda is citizens' comments. If anyone in the audience has something they'd like to speak about that is not part of the agenda, you may, now is your opportunity to do it. Mr. McGinnis.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is not part of the agenda, just judicial status. And I would be very brief, right to the point here. Good evening. My name is Kirk McGinnis, budding landowner at 1039 Wyman Falls Road. I respectfully request that this statement be entered verbatim into the minutes. My remarks tonight are strictly procedural and intended for judicial review in connection with my active Rule 75 petition before the Windsor Superior Court. Number 1, staged materials, pre-decisional activity. For nearly 2 months, bridge construction materials have been staged on the Class 4 corridor that crosses my property. These materials were placed under the Conservation Committee direction and the physical involvement of Select Board Vice Chair Arnie Arunas Janinas, who is also an influential member of that committee. This activity occurred without a warned public vote, without formal authorization, and during active judicial review, creating an appearance of prejudgment. Number two, appearance of bias and undue influence. On multiple unannounced visits to my property, Vice Chair Arnie Janias expressed a fixed personal position, repeatedly stating, once a class 4 road, always a class 4 road. This gives the appearance of predetermination and is inconsistent with the neutrality expected during an ongoing judicial review. Third, refusal to recuse. I requested that Vice Chair Janitas recuse himself from all class 4 matters affecting my property. He refused. The initial refusal was omitted from the minutes until I specifically requested correction, which contributes to due process concerns for an abutting landowner. Fourth and finally, procedural request only, status quo preservation. I'm not asking for debate or action tonight. I'm requesting only removal of staged materials from the corridor on my property and preservation of the status quo while the Superior Court reviews whether town actions are ripe, authorized, and procedurally proper under Rule 75 and Dillon Rule Principle. Thank you. And at this point in time, I would like to enter that little comment into the Select Board's minutes. And I would so graciously ask that the town manager stamp or sign in a copy for the Select Board and one for my records. And if there's no other discussion on the issue, I'll be on my way.
Thank you, sir.
You're very
Does
welcome.
anyone else have anything they'd like to address the board that is not on the agenda? Okay, thank you. Next is old business. Julie, when you get a second, would you mind taking us through that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a good night.
Thank you.
Looks like, based on the memo, we have no old business.
Well, I do, I actually have one. I didn't at the time. It was a short week. Sorry, I didn't get my phone. So just an update on Bailey Hill Road. As the board knows and some of the community may know, Mr. Bidgood did pass away unexpectedly. Joe, if you could sign in, that would be awesome. Thank you. Mr. Bidgood did pass away unexpectedly a few weeks ago. As you know, the attorney has been working on some things with some questions that he had about the status of Bailey Hill Road. So where that I have had a conversation with Jim, where that stands now is Jim is going to continue. We're going to move forward. A lot of time, a lot of money has been invested in this. And we both felt that it was prudent to continue the work and make sure we come to a resolution for the town. So this will be an executive session at your next meeting. It will not be an executive session for tonight. And Jim will be formulating his final opinion. That will be for you guys to review. So just an update publicly on where that stands. That was it.
Okay, thank you. Any other old business? All right, next is a discussion regarding local options tax for rooms, meals, alcohol. So we have been chatting a little bit with the past meetings about local options tax and what that looks like, what that means, what we use the funds for. And so this is our opportunity to have further discussions about this particular topic. And I know we have several people in the room who are interested in expressing their opinion about this, but I wanted to address the board first to see if anybody had anything that they'd like to say before we entertain comments or questions.
Just a reminder to everybody who's in the room that may not have been keeping up that this is proposed to be a voter, be voted on March.
Right. Yeah. So we're not making.
It's not a board decision.
Right.
Thank you. Tongue tied tonight.
Right. Anyone else on the board?
I'm glad folks are here and I'm curious to hear what they have to say. Really, that's the next part of the conversation is to hear from citizens.
So if anyone would like to address the board regarding this particular topic, I ask you to raise your hand, identify yourself, and then ask your questions and or state your opinion, whatever it is that you'd like to say. So, oh yes, so Julie actually will be leading us in this discussion?
So, Lee had asked me, when the agenda came out, to put together some notes about what, the Housing Commission is doing, the activity that has been underway, the stuff that is coming, to maybe help people understand what funds, why the Housing Commission, it needs to have funds to further housing in Chester, and what some of that might look like. Regardless of the source of funding, whether that's local options tax or other options for funding, the Housing Trust Fund that was approved at last year's annual meeting. So the Housing Commission is very active, is very ahead of a lot of other towns in the state. We're told this frequently by different state agencies, and we have a very active, very progressive thinking, not politically progressive, but just a progressive thinking, forward thinking. Thank you. I have to be careful using that word. It has a different meaning these days. So a forward thinking commission that has been very, very active. So some of the things that where we are now at is we have been meeting with a couple of general contractors. Penrose Housing has spoken to a couple of our members, our chair, Joe Carl, being one of them. Preston and Hugh and I had a meeting with Elizabeth from the Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust and Peter Paggy from the Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust about they are looking for potential projects for development in Windsor County. And they are looking at Chester as an option because they haven't done a project here in a number of years. So we did a site visit with them. We have 4 potential properties that would be great for them to look at. They were excited about a couple of them. So it would be great if Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust could bring a project to Chester because they would be they are the developer, they are getting their funding federally, and they would just develop in Chester. So they've been working heavily on that. We are having conversations with a couple different landowners that are very interested in, one, selling property to the town for development of housing. Another is interested in just making a connection with the developer that she would work with directly. And so because we have these levels of interest, some of the next steps on some of this are things like we need appraisals. And we need not just a regular appraisal like we might get for our house. There's a certain federal level of appraisal that needs to be done. Those can run anywhere $3,000 to $5,000. The other thing that we have learned, Preston and I met, Tom Charlton actually made a connection with us, with Gus from the Vermont Housing Conservation Board. Was a great connection. Preston and I met with him and he gave us some good insights about next steps. We do not have a shortage of people who want to do projects. Our problem has been, great, now what? Like, how do we do this? Because we've never done this type of thing before. So Gus was a great contact. Everybody in the room that day said, market study. You need a market study. You're not going to get any federal funding and you're not going to get developers unless there is a study that shows that if we build 50 units in Chester, somebody's going to be here to either buy them or rent them. So that is our next step. Roughly the $6,000 to $8,000 range. There is funding that would probably pay for about half that. So we'll need a few thousand to complete that market study, which is vital for the next steps. And then beyond that, we would be at a position where we need to bring a specialist in to help us. And you know, if you have a site that you want to have developed, you need, you need a bunch of pro forma work done so you can get developers in to help pencil out a project cost. And that all needs to be done by consultants. And if the town is going to do projects or get projects ready for developers, those developers, a lot of them are accessing federal funds. And there's a lot of stuff that the town would need to do for that. It is not stuff that I'm qualified to do. And I would not want to put the town out there. I mean, I can do federal grants, that's fine, but this is different. This is a different level. And you need people that are specialized in housing, specialized in the HUD programs, specialized in the tax credit programs. Legislation is effective January 1 that is changing and opening up other opportunities. 12% more is being contributed to tax credits starting January 1. So more developers are going to be interested. And there's some different changes that are taking place with how the tax credits work. Can't explain it, don't ask me, but this is why we would need a consultant, and that's going to cost funds as well. So, and there is a property that the town has been, I have been approached, kind of off the record, approached to buy in town. That would be a very reasonably priced property that, some small level development could take place on as well. So, those are the types of things that the Housing Commission would be using funds for. And it's not, there's small dollar things right now, a few thousand here, a few thousand there, but we're also, the goal is to try to do some of this work without hitting the general fund. Although that is also an option. Lee and I talked about that before the meeting. That's an option. The select board can put a line item in the budget and say, we're going to fund the housing trust fund by X dollars each year. There's all kinds of ways to discuss this and all kinds of ways to fund. A lot of municipalities are looking at local options tax as a way to do this. It would be specific to the housing trust fund, not to offset general fund taxes. The Housing Commission did not feel like it was appropriate to ask for local options tax for retail sales. The lowest level is the rooms and meals with consumed alcohol with the restaurants. And that being kind of the lower level, that would produce somewhere, we're guessing at this point, around 60 to 75,000 a year that would contribute to that fund. So that's the discussion. The decision the select board will need to make by the time you set the warning is whether or not you put it as an article on the warning. Local options tax is required to go to the voters of a municipality to pass. So if the board puts it on the warning, the voters would be voting. So we've been putting this on agendas to have lots of discussion from people and what are people's questions, what are people's thoughts. But that's a little bit of how the Housing Trust Fund is being used. Our chair of the Housing Commission is here, and Brian Santiago is a member of the Housing Commission as well, so is Hugh. I don't know if anybody had anything else you wanted to say, but.
Joe, go ahead. Joe, Carl.
It's good to hear that our little committee, we've been meeting for almost 2 years or 2 years. And sometimes you feel like you're not making headway, but we are making headway. It's little steps at a time. And if our forefathers didn't think ahead to build bigger roads and do better infrastructure, we'd still be in the middle of nowhere. And we have a desperate need. And I think we struggle with the words of affordable housing isn't just housing to put someone in that's going to sit there and not be a part of the community. We're trying to find housing for teachers. We're trying to find housing for the next family. The husband or wife could be plowing our roads, could be involved with our infrastructure. So I get calls, and part of the reason I signed up is because I'm a real estate agent. I get calls weekly of people looking to buy, young families looking to buy, and there's nothing out there. And this is a program that our goal is to allow them to buy into a property, make monthly payments instead of making rental payments that evaporate. They can make payments and it goes into an affordable housing. So when they go to sell it, they sell it at a rate that's affordable for the next couple to come in, and they've built equity and they can move on and finally buy their own home. So I can't stress that this is a program that is direly needed. And Julie had said, in order for us to take the next steps, we need some funding to move forward, keep the ball moving forward. If we don't have money, we're stalled. So we've got a great committee, and I hope that we can get that funding. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes,
Question, would the 1%?
Could you identify yourself, please?
Oh, sorry, Holly Montgomery.
Thank you.
Does the 1%, does the town of Chester get all of that, or does the state get some of it?
The state gets a portion of that. I think it's a 75-25 split.
How come?
That's just the way the state legislation is worded. There was a legislative change this year that got towns another 5%. So it's 5% more, but no, 100% does not come to the town, to 75-25.
Yes, Ian first. Identify yourself, please.
In Montgomery, I live on North Street, and I wrote myself some notes so I don't get carried away. Affordability is a popular word at the moment. If you keep putting taxes on what we do, we can't afford to live here. I mean, you're trying to provide housing for people who can't afford to live here as it is at the moment, and I realize that. But some of us are being priced out of the market with taxes. Our water taxes went up $200 a quarter this year because for some reason the town insists on taxing us as two separate dwellings when we're not. We're one house with one electrical supply, one sewer system, and one water supply. But it cannot be changed, apparently, we've asked. Last year, I think it was, you got a 3% tax on short-term rentals. Is that correct?
That was a state.
It was a state tax.
tax.
Okay, well, still, that's another reason for unaffordability. And I object very strongly to having another 1% put on people who are trying to bring people into Chester as tourists, because they need places to stay and places to live. And we are the ones who don't put up the prices because we can't price ourselves out of the market. And it's incremental, 3% here, 1% there. And it's getting silly. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Deb Reynolds. I'm just curious about process. I'm a first timer, so I'm just trying to understand here the committee's talking about it and deciding whether the committee wants to put this up for a vote. Is that what happens?
Select board, yep.
The select board?
Yeah.
Okay, so if the select board can make a decision, yes, we want to do this, or no, we don't.
To put it before the voters, yes.
To put it before
That's a
voters.
select board decision. They set the warning for town meeting in March.
Okay, in March. And do you need money before March?
So there is some funding, because one of the things that the board included in the budget last year is the registration fees for short-term rentals. That money, less the amount of money that goes to a company that kind of facilitates some of that, gets funded. So about 20,000 a year is going to be getting put into the housing fund. So there are some dollars already that could help to get some of our stuff started. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Connor Ekman, Mr. Hart, with the 1%, don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily thrilled about it. Adding in 1%, but with it being added, I do believe it does need to be added to the entire town. Because the restaurants and the inns aren't going to really benefit from the affordable housing because it's getting people out of the inns and into apartments and things. With the restaurants will benefit, but with that also is places like Sunoco, Jiffy, Smitty's, all of them, they will highly benefit from the affordable housing. So I do think with the 1% or whatever, it does need to be applied to the entire town and not just a select group of.
So you think the whole retail,
I do
market?
think the sales and use and meals and drinks as a whole set needs to have the 1% if it's going to be done.
Anyone else?
This is Sue Bailey. Can I make a brief comment?
Sure, go ahead.
I just want to point out, we're only talking about 1 quarter or 25 cents per $25. So if you are going out to eat and you spend $50, that's only 50 cents. We're not talking about a lot of money. And if you're staying in, if it's only on rooms and meals, if you're staying in a hotel or an Airbnb, the people that are staying there pay it versus local residents. I just wanted to point out, it's just such a small amount. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Damon Tyler, I would say, well, the small amount is 60 to 75K per year, because that's the number you gave. So, I think there's a lot of opportunity cost here, and I'm wondering what local businesses have said, with inflation the way it is, with the number of businesses we have here. I question how well they're doing. I'm also would question the real estate professionals about the real estate market and its future. I think we have a high number of baby boomers and we have a high number of second house owners. And I predict a lot of those houses will be vacant soon. So I do think an evaluation, I think a market evaluation would make sense.
Yeah.
All for helping people, but probably not at the cost of local businesses when we have such a small local business community.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Victoria Musto, I own the Stone Hearth Inn with Connor. Through my industry for the last 15 years, you know, you see the people that we have to deal with, like Expedia, Booking.com, all those external extremities to bring people in. We pay a very high percentage to use those. You're going to add another 1% on. I know somebody says it's a small amount, but when you put it in, collate it together, it's a big amount.
And the Expedia takes almost 18%
For us to
on
get,
top
yeah,
of what
to
our
bring your
processing and everything else is already included to
to
it.
bring your tourists into town, it costs us a lot of money to do that. Then obviously you bring those people into town, they say, okay, we're coming in at 9.5%, a 9% in the restaurant, you'll put in 10. It's a double figure. It doesn't look good. It doesn't help. So I think you need to put that into mind. Plus also, as this chap says, there is a small amount of us in town that are doing this. If you push the small amount, you might lose that small amount. And be pushing the limits.
Go ahead, Joe.
Girl. Call me chap, I would love that. That's a great term. I think one thing we've all learned is, as a small town, we're all in this together and we all want a solution, right? I mean, the reason that we're sitting in these chairs is that we care.
Yeah.
And the dollars come up 91 and they get off exit 6 and they come through town and they're going to drop their dollars, and we have to figure out a healthy way for those dollars to get distributed. The funny thing is, I'm old enough to remember that when I first, and I'm from Connecticut originally, I've owned a home in town. I've been here for 20 plus years, almost 23 years. When I first came to Vermont, I got a book for Christmas that said, go to an inn. And I flipped through the book and I read it and I was like, oh, I'll go to an inn in Vermont. Times have changed. It's not just people coming up. You're attracting people and you have to pay your fees. But that's why our bed and breakfasts have died. That's why the restaurants have changed. Everything's changed dramatically in the past 20 years. So as a group together, we have to figure out how do we make everybody whole and how to figure it out, because times will change again in 10 years, 15 years. The bottom line is, if we don't have, and the reoccurring theme, if there's no place for a housekeeper or waitress to live, we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
And you're in trouble and you're in trouble, and you can have a place for guests to come up, but if they can't go out to eat, if you can't have a place for your housekeeper to live, we're all in trouble. So we have to figure this out. And I don't know if this extra tax is going to help or hinder. I believe it's going to help in my mind, but let's figure it out. Maybe there's a compromise. And that's my viewpoint.
Thank you. Anyone else like to share? We will be discussing this again. Please tell your neighbors and friends to come and let us know, because we're trying to figure this out also. And to what Julie said earlier, we're not making the decision. It's going to be the voters. You folks are making the decision if this gets on the ballot to be voted on. But that's where we are right now, is trying to figure out whether we want to put it on to be voted on or not. So please, if you have any questions or more comments or concerns, reach out to Julie or one of us up here, where we'd love to have the feedback and information. Ariana?
I have a quick question. I could come back and ask tomorrow, but is there a way to look at our lists? And I don't know whether this would be out of Hugh's office or your office or what. Can we get a list of the names of businesses in Chester that currently are in Chester that would be directly affected?
Yes, and they were all sent a letter.
Great. Can we just have the list for reference? That'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, and there are very few here.
And
Like,
that-
I think there are 3 businesses represented
The
here.
next thing I was gonna say is
Yeah.
I said it before, the next part of this conversation has to be with the business owners. So thank you very much for being here.
Yeah.
Let's try and connect with more of them, because I don't think the conversation is even worth having if we're not having it with the owners of those businesses.
You know, I think we all agree on this board that the housing crisis that we have is important to address it whatever way we can. I've heard stories in out west at ski areas where people that work at these areas have to drive 2 to 3 towns over a mountain to get to where they go to work because they can't afford to live there. And we're trying to make this town affordable for working class people, which is why we brought all this up and we were discussing all this. The funding part of it is an option, that 1% tax. There are other options also. There's other funds that are out there too. But we wanted to have this discussion because this one was one that would continue on and continue giving money every year, as opposed to dipping into a economic development fund or some other fund that are finite and stuff. So we're looking for an answer and we don't know what it is. So no matter what happens, when the vote comes before the people, it will be the decision of the people of the town, whether, how it goes as far as that goes.
Yeah, David Tyler. And you keep saying that, oh, it's not the board. If we bring it up, it'll be the town. And, I will share, my wife works for a ski school as a teacher. So I understand volunteerism personally. However, it is the board's decision whether to bring it up and put it there. And a lot of these things that get brought up are easy for the 3,000 people of Chester who have no vested interest in the business, who do not fully understand the costs and risks associated with that. And it sounds nice, right? Who doesn't want affordable housing? Who doesn't want to help people? So just my encouragement would be to have those discussions with, because again, it's rights and obligations and it's burden, right? And you're putting an additional burden on folks that bring in revenue to the town, create valued services, and if they can't survive, we're not going to need to hire those other folks.
And that's why I suggested that we get more people engaged in this, because regardless of our decision, if it does go to the voters are the ones who have to be informed. And so the more information we get out there, the more people we can get to engage in this and understand the pros and cons, the way things are now and the way what we'd like it to be. I think that's going to go a long way to help people make a wise decision. So ultimately, we're the ones, the 5 of us, get to decide whether or not it's on the ballot. But that's why we're asking for the input, so that we can make a wise decision ourselves. So, but I appreciate everyone and speaking up and giving us your opinion. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to Julie or any of us and invite your neighbors and friends to the next meeting. where we will be discussing this again. Thank you. Anything else before we move on? All right, next is the moderator position. So we have two people who have expressed interest in this particular position. I'll give people a few minutes to head out. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for coming, guys.
So we have two people who have expressed interest in filling the position of town moderator that has been filled by Phil Bacon for the past 40 years. William Hoser and Frank Kelly. And so our next, this agenda item is to interview and to make an appointment if we're ready to do that. So Mr. Hoser, if you want to just come up and tell us a little about yourself and what it is that you would like to do and why you'd like this position. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everybody. William Hoser, commonly known as Will, and I've been a Chester resident for over 30 years. And I feel a strong interest to serve the town as moderator. I'm interested in giving back at this point in my life and career, and I was encouraged by a former select board member to throw my hat in the ring, so I'm doing so. I have raised 3 kids in this town. I've sort of what we described ourselves in the late 90s, early 2000s as I'm a transplanted local. So I am from somewhere else. I'm from New Jersey, and I'll talk more about that. Also, in addition to raising 3 kids and utilizing the school system, I was involved in a former business, local business, and we had the good fortune of obtaining a business loan from the town at low interest, which really helped us to realize our goals. So coming from a small town in New Jersey, which was very Vermont-esque when I grew up there, I'm a farm kid, and in high school I went to join the FFA, or Future Farmers of America, and we competed in parliamentary procedure competitions. So I've been familiar with Robert's rules since I was a teenager. And I'm also from a family of service. My grandfather was the sheriff of our county for 20 years. He ran every 2 years. My mom worked the election polls. My dad was on the fair board and the planning commission. My mom was on the school board. So I'm used to service. And I subsequently have gone on to be involved in executive positions in many of the organizations that I've been involved in. And of note, I was the first PA to ever chair the Vermont Board of Medical Practice, and I did that for over half a decade. And a little horn toot toot, I was the 5th one in the country, so for what that's worth. But I've been involved in adjudicating cases and moderating meetings, and also served on the Governance Commission of the American Academy of PAs on a national level, chaired that for 2 years, which oversaw the governance of the national organization, as well as lots of articles and elections as well. So I am Swiss by heritage, so I am neutral by emotion.
That's great.
And I'll entertain any other questions.
Anyone have any
I say
questions?
that all the time. I'm Switzerland.
That's right. I really am.
Switzerland. You were born.
Out of curiosity, what part of town do you live in?
I'm a Trevonian.
Excellent, you're in my neighborhood.
It's a good drinking road. I can tell you that because every green up day, Budweiser's still the king of beers.
I don't know who's drinking Natty Ice on Matson, but.
They need to upgrade. Come on, it's Vermont. How about, higher end stuff, right?
But thank you for coming in. I have an obnoxious question.
Ask away.
How often have you've been here 30 years? How often do you think you come to the town meeting in March? In the past 30 years? Are you awake?
Occasionally. I should add that, I've also practiced medicine locally for over 30 years, full time. As of the end of this month, the end of the year, I'm closing my company and I'll then be working per diem. So I've really had to raise on even sometimes to vote, based on my professional commitment, which is changing. Another reason why it's sort of right for me to give back at this time. So, all right. Other questions? All right, thank you.
I think we're good. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Kelly.
Good evening. I am Frank Kelly. I too have been, what was it, Will, transplant local.
Yeah, transplant local.
I've been fortunate to live in Chester longer than I've lived in anywhere else in my entire life, and it's been a great place to be. And I was interested in the town moderator position for a number of reasons. First is I'm involved in a variety of initiatives here in Chester. Will Hoser has been a great person at picking up those cans on Treeboat Road and bringing them down during cleanup day because I facilitate that. I'm also part of other committees in town, and I've had a wonderful opportunity to help in a number of different ways. One of the reasons why I was interested in the town moderator position was I wanted to be able to continue to help the town do its business, much like you folks are doing it here today. I saw that as an opportunity to help out and to make it so that the town can continue to have the strong democratic, small d democratic roots that it has. Over the years, I've been a teacher in town for quite a number of years, and I've had the pleasure of working with a number of community members and generations of families. So it's really neat to be able to see those students, former students, coming in now to a town meeting setting and being involved in our local governance. It's a great honor. We would do mock ceremonies or mock town meetings and other quasi-judicial things to make it so that the students would have an understanding as to what government is and how democracies work and all sorts of other forms of government as well. Along the way, I've also been able to, help people to be the best person they could be in a variety of different settings, to be able to encourage them to speak their piece and to be able to do it in a nice way so that hopefully everyone can benefit from what we all have to offer. And all that said, I do think Mr. Hoser would be a fine choice for town moderator. But thank you for considering me for that town moderator position. I am of the Irish persuasion from Boston, so if we have to raise our voices, we can do that. But try not to.
Nice.
So, are there any questions that I could answer?
I don't have any questions for you, Frank, and I didn't have any questions for Will either, but this is the hardest decision I've had to make in a long time. It's a fantastic candidate. And usually it's pretty clear cut when I decide on a candidate, but I'm gonna flip a coin or something. You both guys
Rock, paper,
are
scissors
great.
sounds like a great idea.
Like, oh
In
my
answer to
God.
your question, Ariana, I have tried to get to town meeting when I can. And have been a variety, number of occasions. Again, not that, I've also been able to take advantage of Mr. Hoser's medical experience. So maybe he needs the time off to be able to help other people.
And I think his kids went to school probably with you
I
as a teacher,
did
right?
have the pleasure of working
Small town.
with his family, yes.
But once again, this is only for one night in March. After that, you gotta be
It's gotta be
elected.
election.
Correct.
Yeah, by Tuesday, you're done.
Literally.
Could be.
Yeah, we could put them all on the ballot.
You want to come up here, Mr. Hoser?
Yeah, right,
Mr.
yeah.
Hoser, why don't you come on up here?
Why don't we just arm wrestle?
You win.
That works.
I do have a serious question, if I could just. Sort of
Sure, go ahead.
Jump in on Frank's time. Is the moderator responsible for anything beyond town meeting, like school districts or anything of that nature, or is it just?
So the school district elects their own moderator. It historically has been the same person that the town uses, but they elect their moderator from the floor. So what will happen is when there is the annual school meeting, which is typically the week before the town meeting, they do a vote from the floor for the moderator. So what would likely happen is the chair of that board will call the first election item, which is the moderator position. So that's a separate but kind of related process. But that's what they do. So it doesn't have to be the same person. It just historically has been. It's just I don't think any of us remember a time when it wasn't Bill Bacon.
40 years.
42 years. Yeah, exactly. You weren't even born.
Just kidding.
Well, if I was, then you were. But anyway, yeah. So that's the process. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it would be an appointment until the election following town meeting, where you would get onto a ballot.
Can I ask another procedural question? If these two fine gentlemen, in order to get on the ballot as town moderator, they pull a petition for that.
Yep.
In January,
rule,
yeah.
and so either way, we still need somebody. These folks could both say no if we were in trouble. So the idea is we're appointing one person for the next town meeting.
Correct.
But before we even have that town meeting,
Yep.
people have to get a petition
People
to
have
be
to get-
on the ballot.
Correct. Get on the ballot. Correct. And those come out end of December, beginning of January, and you can see Amy, our town clerk, to get those. But yes, and there's nothing to say that you don't appoint somebody for that annual meeting and you both don't take out a petition.
That's what I was just
Yeah.
alluding to, and then I
And
wanted
you
to say,
appoint
let's not
somebody,
do
yeah.
that.
No, then, right, then the voters elect. Yeah.
Has there ever been a case where there were co-town moderators?
I don't know that statute would recognize that. Town moderator. Yeah, I don't think it can be a co.
Robert's rules.
Yeah.
So I have one comment. Bill Dakin had come to me and asked me to ask Mr. Kelly.
Mhm.
And as for me, 40 years of respect says you should have a chance to ask the next person. And he's only good for one night, so.
That's a lot of
High expectations.
Got it.
So what's
So how about, I'll do one night, you do the next year.
I don't know. Whatever, it's fine, Frank, yeah. fine.
Either way, you know.
So what's the pleasure of the board? Do you want to vote now? Do you want to discuss this
Actually, I
more
want
in
to ask one
executive
more
session? Go ahead.
question, and both of you have absolute encouragement as a mother not to answer this question. But would you consider taking out a petition and being on the ballot? Is that currently your intention? I'm sorry, Jeff, you did not answer.
I probably would, I mean, yeah, I'm looking at this point because I'm sort of, modifying my professional career, I'm looking to give back. I believe that I've benefited a lot from leaving this town, so that's another way.
Got it. Thank you.
For me, Ariana, I figured I would wait until this evening and see if I were to be appointed. If Mr. Hoser were to be appointed, I would probably not and allow him to continue so that I could sit in the audience and ask lots of questions and things like that.
Rather than give them a hard time.
So we have the option of voting one of these two right now, or we can go into executive session at the end of the meeting to have a discussion and then vote.
And get the point.
So
I can
what's the
vote
pleasure?
now.
I'm okay doing it right now.
Right.
Okay.
That's
So
just my opinion.
You know, just a straw poll.
I
You
guess.
gotta make a
I mean,
motion.
need
You
a
have to make a
motion.
motion.
We have to make a
To
motion.
vote.
Yeah, you have to appoint somebody tonight. That has to be by motion. So you don't have to do it tonight, but you have to make it by motion.
So I would like to make a motion to appoint Frank Kelly as interim moderator for the town of Chester.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
And they could arm wrestle
I
on to
think it's a good choice.
Thumb wrestle. Keep it fair. It's more fair, thumb wrestling.
Yeah, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Tough decision.
It is.
It's great to have this kind of tough decision for a volunteer position for town, I'll say that.
So we have a motion and a second. So all in favor of Frank Kelly taking on the moderator position for the business meeting in March 2026, say aye.
I,
Opposed, nay.
Abstain. I like both of guys.
Well, and that would be my position as well, so. But that being said, I appreciate both of you gentlemen coming in, and I would encourage you both to take out petitions, please. Because I think that either one of you could do a fine job, and Frank, we'll see how things go in March. I appreciate both of you coming in and being willing to serve the town.
Really.
All right, next is the 2025 budget discussion.
No, library budget. We hadn't amended it yet.
Oh, and that's the one I didn't print out. Okay, library budget discussion. So next is the library budget discussion. Do we have anybody who will present the library budget?
Assuming Donna or Gail.
Yeah, I'm here.
Laura, sorry, Laura.
Yeah, yes. And Gail and Donna should also be there, but I was gonna be the one mainly talking. Good evening, and everybody, and thank you for having us. You should have received some paperwork from our library director. Our operating budget should have been provided to you, a general ledger, our grants that we received this year, and then a couple of infographics. One of them is the year in review and our library calculator that shows how much our patrons have saved by using the library. So I'd like to begin with our budget request for the upcoming year. We are asking for a modest 3% cost of living increase, which will help us maintain the essential services and programming our community relies on. This adjustment also supports the rising costs of day-to-day operations, including personnel, so we can continue providing consistent, high-quality services to our patrons. We make this request knowing that we've worked diligently to maximize our resources and bring additional support into the library. This has been a strong year for us, thanks in part to several significant grants that our library director was able to secure. Some of the highlights include the ALA Transforming Communities Grant and the Early Childhood Building Bright Futures Grant. And also the Cliff Grant, which brought hundreds of free books to children in our community and our elementary school, greatly enriching our early literacy. We're equally proud of our own internal efforts. Our fundraising initiatives and book sales have been very successful, demonstrating our commitment to contributing to our budget and reducing the overall financial burden. We are grateful for your continued support and for helping make 2025 such a successful year. So if you have any questions, please let us know. Both Gail, our library director, and Donna should be there in person. Thank you.
Anyone on the board have any questions relative to this particular request? So I guess I have a question under the library revenue, the fundraising. We're seeing a 2025 budget of 9486 and an actual income for fundraising of 13,637. Is that, am I reading that correctly?
Correct. So we actually exceeded our goal in terms of fundraising for this year, and it's still going. We just wrote a letter at the beginning of, or at the end of November, and so we're still actually fundraising as we speak.
Okay.
$1,600 last year.
Identify yourself. Yeah.
My name's Gail Zachariah, and the other thing about that is when we say fundraising, we're talking about usually fundraising and donations, and they fluctuate.
Sure.
Some years donations are way up and fundraising happens to be low. This year fundraising was really high, but you'll notice that donations is really low. And the one more thing about that is this particular year, for some reason, in that budget, a lot of that total cost for fundraising that was really occurred the year before. So it's just how the processing worked. We're trying to keep up on that. Like what Donna said, we're turning the money in right away so that it's going to be more reflective of what we really get that year.
Mhm. So the note that's at the bottom of the first page says 21,500 of the 2024 surplus is reserved for multi-year grants and restricted gifts given in 2024 but expended in 2025. Can you just explain that to me? I'm not sure I understand that.
That relates back to last year in the budget, and you'll see last year we had a surplus in the but we had that 20,000. We had a $20,000 grant. That was a multi-year grant. We got the money last year, but didn't do any of the spending of the funds until this year.
Okay.
So that's really, and there was another a smaller gift that we got that year, but we didn't. So we had to use that money this year.
I'd just like to say, the library and the services that you provide to the town, I think it's one of the most important parts of the town that exists. It's a place that's neutral, that services everybody in the community, has a varied services that they provide for people. It's a meeting place for clubs. It's a great place for kids. And the fact that you've got a budget where you only have an increase of 3%, I think is commendable. And I appreciate all the work that you guys do.
And if you look at the budget, you'll see to make that work, we had to decrease a lot of other things that we didn't really want to, but we really did that consciously. So.
Well, and that helps in your realization that it's tight money in a small town, and when taxes go up, it affects everybody. So having that in mind I think is a good thing.
Ariana?
You implied that there were difficult choices to get this to where it is. Could you give us an example?
Well, one thing personally that it's sad for me, we had software last year and the year before that helped us promote things. And it was really important, but we can work harder without it, but so we're not getting that software. It's, publicity software that would do our emails and the graphics and so it's just everything gonna take a little longer to do. It was library specific software, so it connected to books. Yeah, it's gonna be sad without that, but.
Okay, so that was an expense in 25 that you've taken out of 26.
Yes, yeah.
Are there other items in that category?
Well, even though the book budget is a little up, I mean, it looks on that grant to it looks on your budget like not book budget, it looks like our programs are going up about $1,000. Again, that's because we received 2 grants that came this year that are for next year for the programs. So without those, the other programs are a little down. We had to make some of our regular programs. We had to cut the expenses of some of our regular programs. And you don't actually see that there because of those $1,000 that is earmarked for certain programs next year. Okay. Yeah. So I think the book budget was a little bit down, but there were some things we had to invest a lot in some technology last year. The copy machine broke. Wi-Fi, we had to get a service for the phone system. I mean, all these things right now it's the website's down. So all of those things were expenses that we had to have, and they increased, and that also affected every other decrease.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
On the retirement line, so is nobody on the municipal retirement?
Not now.
Okay, so
The thing is, it's true, it is true that if there's no need for that, we will have that money that we could spend, or it would go back into.
Yeah. There's another 2,700 there that you've got
Right.
available.
But the board wants to keep it in there just in case is needed.
Right. No, I get that, but it's another 2,700 because you don't have anybody on it currently. So,
Yeah, and the other thing you'll notice is there's several, I think that's on a note too, there are several zeros in there. Things like professional development and fundraising fees, expenses. Those we're going to pay for with the proceeds from the endowment fund that we are taking a distribution for now. Then that they cost about $5,000, $6,000 normally. So they're not even on the budget, but they were on the budget last year. But I mean, we will have those things, but the board is going to be paying for them outside of the operating budget.
Just out of curiosity, what is the endowment fund realizing each year?
Oh, I think it was about 5,000. Laura would know the best, but what those expenses come to are, all of them is $5,850. So that's sort of what $5,000, $6,000 is what we projected. But Laura can answer best about what we've got so far.
I don't have the figure in front of me, but are you talking about how much we were able to take out from the fund?
Yeah, my question was, based on the note, the annual distribution from the investment account would be used to pay for fundraising, professional development, legal expenses. And I'm just wondering what that number is.
So we have, we take out quarterly about $1,800 is what we've been receiving.
There's a formula that the development people put together. I don't know, let's say 4 or 5% of whatever we just take quarterly distribute. Look at change.
But you could dip into those funds to pay for other things if you needed to, correct?
Kind of an emergency fund, you know.
I understand that. Yeah, and I'm not, I say this every year. I think that we're asking the taxpayer to pony up additional money, and there's money that's invested that could be used for some of those expenses.
And that's why we started taking those quarterly.
Yeah, and that's great. I really appreciate that. I just trying to get my hands around what the actual issues are. And again, like Arnie said, I appreciate everything that you guys do as a library, what you bring to the town. And I also appreciate your endeavoring to keep the increases to a minimum by not asking for or cutting expenses in other areas. I appreciate that.
Well, the distribution, this was the first year we taken it. And we took what was recommended to us to take. And it's sort of a test. I mean, I'm sure the board will revisit it every year to see how it goes, but and what they should do.
Yeah, we're taking about 4%, and that's without endangering the fund, is what they told us.
Sure, and that makes sense. I mean, anybody in the investment world would applaud that. Again, my thought is for the taxpayer, and so how do we make this work for everybody? So, but I appreciate it. Any other questions from the board? Anyone else like to speak to this matter before we move on? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next is the administration, listers and zoning departments budget discussion.
Yes. So, you have the packet for basically the admin, budget. You will see, so in the administration line, which is basically town hall staff, it's the front office and finance department. Primary increase there is, for payroll. We have our finance department, but we also have Debbie that stayed on as a part-time employee. So there was the addition of that part-time position. And the one that we hired to replace Amy, who got promoted to position of town clerk, has a higher health insurance usage. So those are the main drivers of the increase in the admin budget. Amy is still looking out our postage machine is nearing the end of its life. And so Amy is out waiting for bids on that. So that'll be a number that you'll see added at some point. I will also say that I learned yesterday that Lori, who is our main finance officer, is stepping down. She is leaving the town. And she has given us a date of the end of March, April-ish. So plenty of time. But one of the things that we're going to look at and evaluate is what is needed there. We have often treated that position as though it is a standard bookkeeping position. I've been told for years that it is not. And as I've said in many other areas, Chester is a small town, but we're not. Population, we're small, but we have all the services. We have 2 enterprise funds. We do a lot of federal grants, a lot of federal money flows through this town. We do a lot with bonding. There's a lot that happens here that is upper level finance. It's not basic ins and outs. So when we are evaluating what is needed, it is likely going to be a higher level position. That is Lori's recommendation. The auditors recommended that as well, and trying to find somebody that has true government finance experience. It's a whole different world. Government finance and traditional corporate accounting are not the same in any way, shape, or form. So we will be looking for that. I will, once I get my head around what numbers that might be, I will let you know. So you're probably going to see an increase there as well. So I just learned that yesterday, so it's not reflective in anything here. I have not had a chance to look at numbers and all that kind of stuff, but we will see a change there. And Lori is leaving really only for the reason that she's just burned out. Lori works for the town, but she also works for a very large corporation that she has worked for years, and she does that on her side. And just feels like the government accounting is a little over what she has done. She doesn't feel like she's really doing what she should be doing for the town. And I respect her coming forward and letting me know that. So that's the only reason, primary driver. Zoning, you'll see zoning is up very slightly. The changes in the zoning office is minimal. Preston is moving to part-time. Hugh is moving 75% to zoning. He was 50-50 with listers. Now that he is the ZA, he is moving to 75% zoning, 25% listers. And you'll see with the listers department, with Hugh moving to 25%, the listers budget has decreased ever so slightly. And insurance numbers are in, but I am waiting on the numbers for property casualty, workers' comp. Those numbers, those rates are not in yet from VLCT. So we usually get them mid to end December, so we'll get them soon. I have put in there a slight increase. I think I put in 3%, but I'm hoping it'll stay about that.
I'm just curious, and this is my lack of understanding of finance, but showing under insurance expense, there's a medical insurance line. Why is it's also under each department?
So the medical insurance under each department is premiums. Right. The medical insurance line under insurance is we pay a third party. So we pay net Northeast Benefits. They're basically our third-party contractor with the insurance company. So when we have issues, we go to Net Northeast Benefits and they deal with MVP directly for us.
That's their fee.
That's their fee. Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. And we have gone years where we didn't have them, and yeah, they're worth the $10,000 to just have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If we had a specific, like a true HR department that had the ins and outs of health insurance, we probably wouldn't have that fee, but.
So by my math, the total on this sheet is a 10% increase.
Between all three, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Roughly. Yep. Yep.
And you're saying that probably will go up again based upon our need for a higher level accounting?
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be the department where we are likely going to see the increase. Yeah. Other budgets are down. So I'm hoping when it's all put together, I'm shooting for a low increase. So we'll see where we land, but this is going to be, admin is going to be the department this year that is. Yeah.
The harder question for me is we really missed the government revenue projections by a lot.
Revenue projection.
Well, you have total government revenue. We were hoping for 181.
Yeah.
Which made a rather large hole in most everything else.
Okay, sure. Yep. Well, so you have some numbers that are not in there yet, Peter. So
Yeah.
number one, short-term rentals.
Yeah.
Those registration fees have just gone out.
Yep.
So those are due the end of December. So you're going to see revenue coming in from that. So that number is going to go up. The other number that will be allocated is your interest income.
Yep.
That November is not there.
Yep.
And you have November and December. So you still have a couple of decent sized numbers that are yet to come in. So this revenue line we should look at in January, and that's going to give us a better idea. Yeah. And then we can alter the 2026 budget at that point, Peter, if you want.
Yep.
Yeah.
Julie, I know health insurance is spread across all the different departments and
Yeah.
stuff. What's it looking like for an increase, or is there an increase?
MVP's increase for the town was up 4.5%.
4.5?
4.5. Yeah, was 4.5. Yeah.
And as far as the deductible, that part of it stays the same?
That
pretty
part
much?
stayed the same, correct. Correct, that part stayed the same. Blue Cross was up much higher. It was still much more affordable to stay with MVP than to switch. Yeah, we actually, for the size of our town, have a pretty good rate with MVP. VLCT is having conversations with the governing entities, insurance and entity for the state, about getting back into a health trust like we used to do years and years ago. We had our insurance with VLCT. It was the League of Cities and Towns Health Trust, and we were with Cigna at the time. VLCT got out of it when the Green Mountain Care Board came into it, but when all those changes started coming through, VLCT got out of it. A lot of municipalities have reached back out to the league to see if, and for those who don't know, the VLCT is the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. It represents all municipalities in the state of Vermont. So what their health trust would do is pool all municipal employees into one health insurance pool. And whether or not they can get us better rates or not, but there's a whole lot that they have to go through with the Department of Insurance and Banking and all of that. So they're working on that. It won't be in effect for 2026, but it's possible for 2027. And I'm absolutely keeping an eye. I'm on the board, so we're absolutely keeping an eye on that to see if that'll be a better option for.
So they're looking to get all the towns together
Mhm.
to consolidate to try to save money.
Correct.
On a
But they have,
statewide level.
correct, but they have to be an insuring entity. So they have to get recognized as that. So they're working to get that back.
So maybe we should try that on a national level and see if that works.
The government piece, yep.
It works everywhere but here.
Ariana, go ahead.
I have a question. I don't think I really want to take the time for the answer because I think you guys will probably spiral my brain. But we have the income from the solar field rent up through this year. And then there's nothing indicated for income from solar field.
Because the solar field is not going to run through the general fund. The solar field is going to run through a separate fund.
Will that be in facilities? I had the same question when I was reviewing.
No,
this.
it's not going to be associated with the general fund at all. It's a separate fund. So much like the grant fund is a separate fund, capital is a separate fund, solar will be a separate fund so that it does not impact your general fund budget. It's going to be its own entity that supports itself. If you choose to say, we're going to take money from solar because now all of a sudden we've paid off our loan and we're generating a revenue, we can have that discussion. That will not be for 10 years, 12 years. What was our payoff? 10 years, I
10
think.
years.
10 years is where we go neutral.
We could be generating income before then, so we could have a conversation about
Correct.
that once we understand what those numbers really look like.
Absolutely. But for right now, it will not run through the general fund.
But then does the general fund carry the electric bill for the municipality? We pay are we paying
ourselves
Are we paying is the general fund paying a separate fund? Like I said, maybe I shouldn't bring this up and you'll tell me later.
I think we're putting the solar in a separate fund for now.
Yeah.
There will be a discussion about whether or not the solar field fund pays the general fund. But right now, the solar field is going to have a $1.14 million loan associated with it. And if we start mixing and mingling that to the general fund right out
the our power check too. Do we write it to Green Mountain Power?
we
or
write
do
it to Green Mountain
ourselves?
Power. We write it to Green Mountain Power.
That answers my question.
And a portion of it is also going to whoever the current owner is of the system.
Correct.
So,
Which then is
but that savings then is factored into how we're going to make the payments.
It almost broke my brain, but I got there as far as how it
Yeah.
impacts this
Yeah.
document we're looking
And
at.
it's going to be complex, especially as it's going to take us a year or two to get, like, how does this work? So we don't want it to mess with the general fund.
But
There can be discussions later on down the road as to what, when it's paid off and all that stuff with that.
Or,
That makes
or even
sense.
before that.
Or maybe before
if
that.
There's revenue
Exactly.
that's being
Exactly.
generated, then we can
Absolutely.
decide what to do with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which there should be.
And that's actually reflected here to bring us all around and wrap it up. Because the 26 income budget doesn't include anything for the solar field, which is
Correct.
why that number goes down
Right.
from 140
That's
to
right.
125, which is why the tax increase goes up, because we're letting go of some revenue out of it.
Correct.
As opposed to it all being about cost increases, some of it is about moving income to a different place.
Right.
Great. Thank you.
John?
Yeah, Sean Cunningham. I'm just wondering, has this closed?
No.
No. So it hasn't,
We are very close.
okay.
What can
You're
I?
not supposed to say anything.
I don't think I must, but yeah, I can't
Okay,
get
so
details.
do you have any idea when we're going to see final numbers on this? Because you guys keep talking about in executive sessions, and I'm presuming that's numbers. So when do you think we'll see final numbers on it?
Well, the community voted for the purchase price.
Right, but if you
Of the
did better than
1.14.
that, yeah, I didn't, yeah, that's what I'm wondering about.
Yeah, we should be closed by early January. That is the hope.
Thanks.
And we can talk later at that time, about why it took so long.
That's the part I
Can
can't
ask a
talk about.
procedural?
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, the budgets you're discussing, library and whatnot, are those public access to? Okay.
The documents?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
If you'd like a copy, talk to the town manager. Or
I can also, I have people, Damon, on a list that when I send the select board their packet, I also send to them. So I can add you to that if you're interested.
Please.
I can, and then you can fish out whatever is of interest to you. I'm
Can you
happy to
send
do
Then
that.
you'll know what we
library
have on
budget?
these.
Yeah, that was the last minute.
Thanks.
And they're either paper or electronic if you prefer, whichever way you'd like to get it.
I'm the only paper guy here.
No, me, I'm a paper.
I asked Julie.
I'm
They don't
a-
deliver anymore. Come on.
Yeah, he's like, what level of AI do you
Deliver
use?
the
And I'm like,
paper.
we don't.
I can have it if I drive to
Yeah.
town, see?
All right, any other discussion relative to the 2025 budget for administration, listers, and zoning department? All right, moving right along, signing loan documents for the sewer construction project.
Thank you for coming.
See you, thanks for coming.
Thanks for all your
Amy
input.
talk.
Good thing you were
Great
here.
meeting.
We talked, thank you for that. How do we get a date card? I would love I'm newer
Oh,
to town.
okay, so I'll need,
Do you want me to put my email in the sign?
plop your email right on there.
Okay,
Perfect
thanks.
idea. Great.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Deb.
Sure.
Your first document is the loan agreement.
Okay.
Okay.
Chester Conservation.
Go right ahead.
Oh, God. Been there, done that. Okay, thanks.
Take care.
You okay? Bye, Gail.
Thank you.
See you Monday.
Move right along.
Moving right along, we are zipping right through.
That's what happens when we don't have a completely dense agenda. And it still takes a long time.
It's true.
There is this mindset, it's been proven over my 22 years here, that the shorter the agenda, usually the longer the meeting. Is often.
Well, the
The
discussion.
board is just chattier.
increases to fill the space.
Correct.
100%.
We've had very long agendas that were done like in an hour and a half, and it was like, whoa, what happened?
Mess.
Well, you rush through those because you think something's going to keep you there until midnight.
Exactly.
12:15.
Yeah, we've been there. Did that a number of years. Arnie misses that. He loved those midnight meetings.
Yeah, he's a night owl.
He's a night owl.
11, 12 o'clock.
Literally 12:15, I think was.
12:15, I was there.
Yeah, meeting started at 6:30 and we were here at 12:15.
I was not here, darn it.
That was during budget. That was during budget. That was budget. Always budget. Yeah.
The planning commission meetings back then went along too.
They were long too. Agreed.
All righty then. So we signing the loan documents for the sewer construction project. I'm assuming we need motions
You
and
need motions. The first one would be for the loan agreement.
so I'll accept the motion to sign the loan agreement for the Vermont State Revolving Fund for the amount of $2,982,900.
We move to.
Oh. It's just to the chair to
Yeah,
sign.
that's what I was just
Thank
about
you.
to say.
Thank
I
you.
move to authorize
Thank
the
you.
chair to sign the Vermont State Revolving Loan Fund amount of $2,982,900.
So Tim's made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Arnie's the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
It's springtime.
This will commence in the spring. The first phase was, the first phase of this project is the force main. Remember, this is 3 phases. The first phase is the force main. That is Halleck Water, won that contract. Yes, they already have a bunch of stuff staged. We moved it down to the sewer plant.
I talked
In case spring thaw brings us flood again. So.
See it go down the.
Well, see it go down the river. So, we've done that. We will go out to bid this winter for phase 2 and 3. And projects will begin one right after the other, but we're anticipating as soon as they can dig in the road, we're hoping April, May, that will all begin. And I should just remind for the general public, this was authorized funding at town meeting last year. The other thing is from this amount, there is a subsidy of $850,000. So we are not repaying 2.9, we are repaying 2.135. So that subsidy is like a grant.
It's 20 years.
And we were able, because of the number, we were able to do a 20-year versus a 30-year, which saved us about, it's like $30,000 on interest. This is an interest-free loan, but there is a 2% administrative fee that the state takes.
And it's the water
So it's basically
and sewer
2%.
users that are paying this.
Correct. But what was nice is the first payment on this loan will not happen until 2027. 2026 is the last payment of the sewer bond. So it'll balance itself beautifully. We were able to do it for a 20-year versus a 30.
And then in 20
That
years,
does
the
feel
sewer plant is going to need an upgrade.
Sewer plant's going to be before 20 years, but
If you looked at that drawing with all the leakage, there's gonna be a lot of little projects.
there's gonna be little
before then.
projects. Yep. But the nice thing is this'll supplement, I mean, they'll just kind of swap out and we could do 20 instead of 30.
So next is the general obligation bond for the same amount, $2,982,900. We need the majority of the governing body to sign it, so do we need to vote on this? We just sign it.
Nope, you didn't do
So I'll entertain a motion for the majority of the governing body to sign Exhibit C, the general obligation bond in the amount of $2,982,900.
So moved.
Brianna's the motion.
Second.
Tim is the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Excellent. And there's another one.
The last one is the resolution and certificate.
I had a question on that first one. The guy witnessed the dumb signature. How does that work?
What? What are you talking about?
The one that I signed.
Uh-huh.
You notice. There you go.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's the bonding authority, so.
All right, last but not least is the resolution and certificate for the general obligation for the Vermont Clean Water State Revolving Fund. And I need a motion to sign this by the majority of the governing body in the amount of $2,982,900. I have a motion.
So moved.
Tim is the motion, second. Ariana, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say
Hold on,
aye.
I do have one question.
Oh,
This is
yes.
all the same 2.9.
It's all the,
Yes.
yeah, we are not
That's all.
borrowing $9 million.
I knew that was true, but I just wanted to ask on the record.
Thank you
Yeah.
for clarifying that. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
It's the HUD one where it looks, everyone shouldn't be a relative of the sewer department.
Yep. Excellent. Next on the agenda is a liquor license of third class for Okemo Valley Hospitality. That is the Fullerton Inn, which I had no idea, so I was gonna ask that question, but it's on here. So, we just sign this. We don't need a motion.
You don't need to sign anything. You
Oh.
just, no, you need to make the motion because you
Okay.
don't sign them now.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion for a third class restaurant bar license for Okemo Valley Hospitality, Inc.
So moved.
Second.
Mariana is the motion, Tim's the second. Any further discussion?
My usual question, no complaints, no police reports, okay?
Anything else? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. And then next is new business and next agenda.
Your next will be, you'll be looking at the highway budget and water sewer. The CEDC, the District Economic Development Committee, letters of interest and interviews and appointments, if you're ready at that time, will be on that agenda. And I will add local options tax, I'm assuming.
Yes, please do that.
That was, refresh my memory, proposed to be a 9-member, is that right?
Commission.
Commission?
Seven,
Seven.
I think 7. I can't remember the bylaw. I think
No,
it's 7.
Okay. And do we have,
I have 5. I have 5 letters of interest.
that's a good start.
Yeah, it is.
We're pretty sure to get approved.
You have, if it's a 7-member, which I think it was, you have, Springfield Regional Development Corporation is one of those 7. They have a seat at the table. And then I have a seat at the table, and Preston, as the town planner, has a seat at the table. So you would be making 4 appointments. 4 appointments with 5 letters. Yes. And you have very qualified people.
Good.
So it's great. I'm very pleased with the letters of interest that we
And
received.
so we've got 2 weeks, so we might have more.
The letters of interest were already, we did an ad and they needed to be in.
Good.
Not to say that if somebody didn't submit one, we wouldn't be that hard-nosed about it.
It's always encouraging to have people more involved. with town
Absolutely.
government.
And it's a whole different group of people,
That's great.
which is great.
It's not the usual.
No. There's 1 or 2 crossovers, but people that are new to involvement in municipal government, which is great. It's not.
So budget, those interviews and appointments will take up a chunk of time. What else did you say was on the agenda?
If you wanted me to add the local option tax discussion again, which we should.
I think we should.
But I don't think you're not gonna have, an hour worth of discussion. Just
I think it should be on there. And if it's a short discussion, it's a short discussion. If it's long, it's
But
long.
it's an opportunity for people to come
If you could forward that list of businesses. that'd be great.
in. Yeah, I have a note.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where we have to make a decision whether we want to put it
Pretty
on by
soon.
what, January 28th or 20th, something like that?
I think Lee asked me to. I think it was the 17th or the 19th. It's the middle of January.
Sorry. First meeting.
We've got about 3 meetings to discuss.
Right. Can we put together bullet points? Because it seems like when we get here every time, we're kind of,
Bullet points.
well, like, okay,
The
so
local option tax?
for the local option tax, right? Because we sit here every time and it's like we begin at the beginning. And I think if we started off and we said, here are the bullets, that we're talking about, and these are what we brought up and said.
So we start with a review.
Right, there you go, kind of, right.
That makes sense.
Well, that's kind of what Julie did
That
this
is what
evening.
Julie did,
Yeah.
right.
I can just give you my notes.
Publish your notes and
There
then
you
you can
go.
have that. And as part of this next discussion, I think we should look at other options for funding.
Yeah.
Not necessarily only the local option tax, although that's what we're discussing. But we can also be in discussion of other opportunities
sources.
Well, and
to fund that.
the Housing Commission has had those discussions, so I'm
Okay.
happy to share, and I can share that.
That would be helpful.
Yeah. Ariana.
I don't know if this is appropriate. Is it appropriate for us through you to ask the Housing Commission to come up with a big fat round numbers, but some kind of budget indicating an annual need? Because right now we're trying to raise money.
Yeah, that's
There's no way to
really.
do that at this
Against
point. There's no way to do that
So
at this point.
so what we know is it's $3 or $4 grand for these appraisals, it's $7 or $8 grand for that, it's 10 grand for that. Those are the examples you've given.
Right.
When I do the mental calculation, listening to you, it feels like 50, 60 grand.
Except that if you then get into future buying of properties, that's where it.
Right, but that, I think, so now we're having this discussion, we should have it next meeting. Going into what Peter said about the bullet points, I think it's important that as part of this conversation, we talk about what is the annual spend flow? What's the workflow? Like for 3 years, it's probably 50, 60 a year, but then when we start investing, it's gonna be this, like, we've got to have a conversation.
It's gonna be really difficult.
really hard.
It's gonna be hard to do because we're so early. We're so early in this process.
Has anyone given a goal?
Well, no, the
Has
thing,
anyone given a goal for
Well-
what they think we need to raise?
the thing is when you
I
start
don't know
off
how
and you
you'd
go.
establish that. Eric.
Well,
So
the
the
thing
answer
is-
is no.
Okay,
right?
so
The answer is no.
the bare minimum is you gotta do a market study. And that's where it's gonna start, and you have that money for that, and then you can just kind of build a little bit per day.
I mean, I can give you a list of what was likely going to be spent in 2026, but
Yes,
that,
that's
but
all
you
I'm
can't
asking.
consider that annual. You
Right.
can't consider that an annual need.
That's.
I understand everything you're saying. What I'm trying to articulate is that if folks are going to vote on something like this, we need to at least have a sense of the ebb and flow of potential spending. Because all we're saying right now is 50 or 60 to do these initial things.
I mean, I can create something, but it's not going to be based in reality,
That's what I keep
which
saying.
I think is
Why-
dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that's dangerous
Great.
because it's going to be completely speculative.
Okay,
But let me wrap, no, hey,
Give me a clear answer.
let me wrap my head around if there is a way to do that, that has some sense of reality to it.
I
Let me
apologize.
wrap my brain around
The
that.
reason I shut you down is because what I recognized in the last 35 seconds is I need to go to a housing commission meeting. That's all.
Sure,
I
but they're not
resolved-
gonna answer that question.
I know, but I'll learn more.
There's a lot of things that.
And there's
that
not one
as
until
you
January.
understand as a project manager are project specific.
And I just want to know, are we talking about 3 projects or 10 projects?
You don't
Well, like
know.
I've talked about, there's 4, I will give you a summary again of all the things that I've said over the
Right.
past several meetings relating to housing.
I
will put them into-
I'll look in the minutes. I'll put it together.
It'd be nice to have all that in a
I will
document.
put it all in a document. Absolutely.
Bullet points are
Yep.
great, to Peter's point.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
And to be very clear, my objective is not to resist the money. It's how better to understand
Right.
how to raise the money.
Understand,
The necessity.
understand.
It's not about keeping.
Understand, but if it was easy to do that, we would have done that.
Yeah.
It's just not, at this point where we are, I don't know of a way, the numbers are gonna be just pulled out of the air and have no basis to them. That's my concern.
Yeah, it's a shot. in the
But,
dark.
but again, let me wrap my head around that and talk to people that are fairly experienced and are ahead of us in other towns, and let me have those conversations.
But the answer to this really is Preston already presented a number of what he thought the option tax would bring in for this year.
And
And
Ariana's
that-
wondering, is that, yeah.
Yeah, and that and the short-term rentals is the money that would be available to the housing commission. If we as a board punted more money into there, that would be different. So there already is a number.
You've just gotten to that 3rd segment, which is what I'm trying to work.
She's trying to say, great, we get $100,000 a year. Is that what the housing commission needs? Or does it need 10,000 a year, or does it need 500,000 a
We
year?
missed the Christmas party completely this year, so.
Let me,
Anyway,
I know
yeah.
what you're asking for. Let me see if it's something I can get for you, Ariane.
It's also not on the agenda, but. Anything else?
But
that
it is
needs
new
to be-
business.
Yes,
New business,
needs to be added to new business or the next agenda.
Yeah.
All right,
Do you want to go into executive session for an update on Bailey Hill where I'm at right now, or do you not? Up to you.
what's the pleasure of the board?
It's only 8 o'clock.
I guess the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear
Yeah.
where we are.
I
Okay.
think the answer is yes.
So I will need a motion to enter executive session for the purposes of discussing the Bailey Hills Road issue and inviting the town manager into that discussion, and no decisions will be
All
made.
right, thanks for coming.
No action will be taken. Do I have a motion?
Good night. Thanks for being here.
So I don't.
Second,
There you go.
So Tim and Ariana?
Peter was the
Oh,
motion. I was the
Peter,
second.
okay.
Before I check, you go
Hang on one
into
second.
executive mode.
Sure, go ahead.
How do I get in touch with the conservation committee? I looked on Facebook, it's old.
Frank Kelly is the one that usually runs the meetings.
He's the chair.
Okay.
And we were supposed to meet last night, but it was canceled, so it's the first Tuesday of the month at 5 o'clock at the library. If you'd like to attend.
Thanks. Library here.
Yep.
There's actually a Facebook page that, yeah, it's very much outdated.
I'm not on Facebook, so.
I mean, yeah, I'm normally not either.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you. Have
See
a
ya.
great night.
In the middle of a motion. Yes, I am there. I have something at 10, but otherwise on the route.
call you first thing.
Okay.
Thanks. Good
Thanks, Sean. Good night.
Okay, so Peter made the motion, Ariana made the second.
Yeah.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Yeah, I'm not leaving because he keeps, saying he's gonna update me and I haven't ever heard.
Okay.
So I'd be
let's-
really
so-
thrilled to find
Okay,
out.
let's get out of the meeting.
Yeah, let's
and
get
then,
another meeting. So thank you, Sue.